Hi, in today's video, I'm going to walk you through automating what would be a typical real-world use case um, into a workflow that can help reduce repetitive or even like mind-numbing tasks sometimes. In this case, what we're looking at is a situation where I have to collect sales data from a data warehouse, and each sale order can have the status of either being processed or already booked. I have to then calculate the sum of all the booked orders and then share them in the Slack channel, and then also have to create a spreadsheet of all the processing sales so that sales managers can review them and check if they need follow-up with customers. So obviously this is a very repetitive task, but it also requires obviously a lot of attention to detail to make sure that all the numbers are right. So this is something that N8N can help us with. And basically, I'm going to show you today this workflow that I built that helps that process. So when I run this workflow, it executes. And then what we see is that um, the orders that are processing start to pop up there. And then also we get a message sent to our Slack channel letting us know the number of booked orders and the total value. So all that literally took 5 seconds maybe, whereas this would be something that would be a highly manual task that could be prone to mistakes. So today I'm going to walk you through how I built this, and look forward to doing that. So stick around. Right now I'm looking at a blank canvas, and I've actually kind of mapped out the process of this flow here. So like I said, we're going to get the data from the warehouse and then have all that inserted into an Airtable. I'm going to insert all the orders into Airtable. And then we're going to filter them down between the ones that have actually booked and closed to the ones that are processing for follow-up. And then calculate the value of all the booked orders and then notify team members of booked orders. And then that's pretty much going to be the workflow. So I'm going to start building. So the first thing with N8N, generally you're going to want to have some kind of trigger. So here you see what will trigger this workflow. You have your different options. You can either use webhooks or an app event on a schedule. But in this case, for now, we'll probably change it over to a schedule later. But for now, just to build this out, I'm just going to trigger when I execute this workflow. So I double click in here. Obviously nothing there yet. And then for the next step in this, I'm going to actually do an HTTP request. So this is going to allow us to get the data that we need. I'm using some dummy data that was actually provided by N8N. All right. So this is the URL for dataset that actually was provided by N8N. And so this is what I'm going to use. If you need something like Macaru to generate like dummy data or like fake data sets, you can use Macaru as well. It's a great resource for that sort of thing. But in this case, I had some from N8N that I'm able to use, and so I'm going to use that. In terms of authentication, we're going to do generic credential type. And then I already have do a header auth. This is my authentication for the header. That was already set up, so show that on the back end there. An API key and a value, which was already shared with me. And So that's all pre-populated already. So this is the client URL. We're using the header auth. Already have the credentials there, the API key. And what do I need to do next? Obviously want to send the headers. And I think we should be set up at this point. I need a name for the and then let's get the value for that ID. So I'll have that saved. All right, and then I think we should be good there. All right, so we have our HTTP request set up now, and then the next thing that we want to do, and actually I'm just going to show you, I'm going to go ahead and execute this so you can see. So executed that step. Obviously this is just kick the ball off, and then the next step that runs is we now see we have some data here. So you can view it in JSON and table format, or obviously schema. So we can see we have records in here now. This is going to be our data that we're going to use for this. I'm actually going to pin it so that we don't always have to rerun it for test execution. And then the next thing that I want to add here now is an if node. So the if node allows us to kind of like take values, true or false values, set different conditions. And I think in this case, what I want to do is I can simply drag, so let's say, for example, the order status in this case, right? Because as we had talked about, what I wanted to do was split up the orders that are processing and those that have been booked. So I'm going to go ahead and make our true values, the orders that are currently processing. And then here you would kind of set your conditions. So order status should be processing. I'm just taking what's here, matching it here. And then after that, I think that's the only condition that we want in this case. So when I execute that step now, we can see that we've gone from 30 items down to 14 in the true branch, which is all the orders that have processed. And then the false branch, which is the other branch, is going to give us 16 items. These are the ones that are booked. In terms of the next node we want, let's set up the true first. So let's see. So we have the true here, and then I think we want let's go straight to our error table. And I think in Airtable, what we want to do is, so I want to create a record, right? We have a creating records, record create. I'm already connected to Airtable, so that was already set up. In Airtable, you can get your API access key, so I can show you where to do that for myself when I set this up. I believe it's in Builders Hub, right? Yeah, so in Builders Hub, you can create a token. You can decide the type of records that you want. So you want to do data records, read, write, at least these three. And then you also decide what kind of access you want. So that's basically that. And then you can create token, and you should get your token, which you will then go ahead and paste in here. And Airtable has documentation for how you would do all that. So once you do that, then, obviously you'll get all your stuff here. This is the table. So this is the table, the orders table. It's called Nathan's workflow. And I think I want to map automatically. And so now, when I execute this step, we should see that start to populate here in this table if everything is going according to plan. There we go. So they just showed up here. It's awesome. Yeah, so this is our input and that was our output. I do think that I would maybe want to filter this down. I'll show you how to filter this down. So if I don't want every single field, right? So let's say I just want the processed orders. I'm gonna add in an edit field here in between the Airtable step and the if. And what I'm going to do is add a field here. So let's say I want to do order ID. And then again, I can just literally drag this here. This is a number, right? So let's say I don't want all those fields, but I just want to like kind of pare it down to the order ID and the employee name. So I'll do this value, and then I'll call that field employee name. And so now what's basically going to happen is rather than have all these columns, I'm just going to now, if I execute this, be down to 2 columns, right? So you see order ID, it's what I named it, order ID. Obviously it's a number value, and then the employee name corresponding. So what's going to happen now when I run the Airtable, if I go to execute this step, I'm going to put this on a different table called processing orders. So Here we just have a different table that was created. Again, you can obviously edit these fields, rename them. I just created a new table called processing orders with these two fields, because for our case, that's all we really want. So I'll go ahead and execute this step. And again, we should see that start to populate here in Airtable. So those are the ones that are needed for follow-up. All right. So I think we are good on the true side of things. If we wanted to send a message after that, we could do that, send an email notification. But let's look at the false side of the equation now. So basically, I'm just gonna add in a code block here. And N8N is pretty cool. You can actually, if you're not familiar with writing code or JavaScript, you can actually like have the AI generate it for you by simply asking it. I already have a code block that I was going to use, but for the sake of this demo, let's see. I might go ahead and do that just to show you guys. So let's go ahead and see if we can actually use this to generate the code. Basically, what we want to achieve is have summed value for the booked sum. So basically a sum of the order price column. And then we also want to have the total booked. So the number of orders that were booked. So let's see if that works. Okay, so here's my instruction. I'll get a JSON object with the type and value being the total number of orders booked, and then also the sum of all those orders that are booked. So yeah. Okay. So moment of truth, if we execute it, does it output? It does. Very cool. Very cool. I have not used that before, so that was super cool. All right. So where are we now? Let's go back. All right, so we have that ran. And then I think as a next step, what we want to do is send let's do Slack. I don't really have Discord set up, but we could send this as a Slack message. So let's send a message. Okay, so I already have my, again, Slack set up and connected. Send message to channel. I think that's what I want to do. Let's do that one. All right, so in terms of the message that I want to send, I'm just going to paste that in here. This week, all I did was literally drag this total booked orders in there. And then booked orders with a total value of this amount. Literally just drag this in here. Again, just to show. We already did that, but it's that simple. And you can obviously see the output here. 16, 22, 5. And then I'm going to execute this. I need to log into Slack, but I'll do that and then be right back. And then we can execute this and see if the message popped up. All right, so before I execute send to Slack, log into my Slack here. Here's a channel that we're going to send it to. Move this out of the way. No messages here right now, so let's execute this and see if it actually works. Okay, says executed successfully. And there we go, popped up. If I click on this, it should take me to the workflow. Ooh, I didn't save yet. Always save. Okay. And that's pretty much it. Again, I could, do something similar here if I wanted to. I just wanted an Airtable, but we could send the true stuff as well via message. But that's pretty cool. So now, this is something that would actually like help someone's process. If you have a similar kind of scenario where you needed, we're doing this manually or doing this via some other form. Now this whole process can be automated for you. And I'll just go ahead and execute the whole workflow. So we have the whole thing. So the Airtable records are created. Well, they were created already, but it's going to create them again. Code to run, and then I'm guessing we probably have another message in here. Yeah. So that was it. And I hope you enjoyed watching me build this workflow from start to finish. We'll continue to build more complex ones as we go along, but I thought this was, although a simple use case, one that would actually be really helpful to someone's process. And so appreciate your time, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.